This is part 4 of the cardstock folio, and we're going to finish up decorating the inside. Hi everyone, it's Jean from the Inky Owl Studio. Welcome back and welcome to those first-time viewers. We are finishing up, this is part 4, and we're finishing up decorating the inside of the cardstock folio. And I'll list down below the beginning of the part 1 where we assembled the bones of it and how we've been decorating it using Stamperia 8x8 pad, Voyages Fantastique. So we're down now to the last 4 pages. And I have gone ahead and I have glued these pages in. But for the background, I just chose my printed paper that I got to coordinate. And I just took a tea stain piece of paper and put in some stamps. So it doesn't have to be fancy. This is kind of meant to maybe journal on or have room for that. So these are kind of like using 2 of your papers that you got to coordinate, or scraps of paper you got to coordinate with your pad. Now for this one we're going to do a little bit more to it, and this is the page that we cut the big engine out, that we made the big engine pocket. And so you have this left over, and so what I want you to do is cut right along this side right here all the way to the top. And I'll do that really fast over here. I didn't want to cut it ahead of time because I wanted you to see exactly which page I was using. So let's get this down here. All right, and so this makes a perfect little pocket to go right here. Just really love it, and it's nothing fancy. We're just going to glue it in. I will finish inking up this one side. I think I got the rest of it though. And just making a pocket. Now you could put a line of glue here in the middle and make 2 pockets. I am just going to make the one, but you certainly could do that. We're just going to glue our 3 sides and put it in like so. Now for this particular pocket, I plan to use 2 of the larger, there's some larger journaling cards in the kit, and so I just plan to slip those in there. But like I say, you could, if you wanted to, put a little bit of glue. Well, I guess they don't fit. I thought they would. But if you have other ephemera, you could make 2 pockets. But I'm just using this one, like so, to put these inside. All right, now we come to the very last pages. I chose this from the kit as the background. But at this time, you have lots of choices here. You have this choice, you have the leftover of this one, and you've also got this particular page that looks like this. Now I tell you what I did with this page to make it kind of fun. So I went ahead and used it on this side over here, and we're just going to make a little interactive page on this one. We're going to cut along just off the top of that balloon, so it's sort of like halfway between these 2 lines here, if you kind of see those lines. So we're just going to cut halfway across that way, and then I'm going to take my ruler and make a very light, and you might be able to do this by eye. I'm going to make a very light line, straight line, that goes right along the side of the balloon like this. Okay, so I'm going to make a line in there so I can cut evenly along there. So let's just go, this one I can eye it pretty well. But the other one, I kind of needed a little bit of help on that. So I'm going to cut right down. Just like this. All right, so now I have cut out my, this is going to be a tag. And I'll want to glue this in, all the way around, inside my page. All the way around. Okay. Just stick it in there like so. All right. Now for in this area here, we're going to make a pocket. And you're going to want to take your decorative paper, whatever it is, and you're going to cut a square that's 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. And then you're going to score a 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So you've got this little pocket like so. I'm going to go ahead and cut off, miter off these corners here. There we go, just like so. And miter off a little bit up here as well. So this tag should fit inside that pocket quite nicely there. And it should be large enough to kind of cover up most of that that line there. Okay, so I'm doing that, and then what I want to do is I want I'll show you what we're going to end up with, just so you know, or just so you have an idea. We're going to end up with this here, and I thought this is such a cute page. Whoops, I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. It's such a cute page to have the balloon kind of rise up out of the pocket, because that's what balloons do, don't they? They go up. And I kind of like the little window with the clock sticking out there. Now the window, of course, is not necessary. You may not want to do that, but I'll show you how I went about making that window. And I laid this down like in the middle of there, almost to the very bottom, like so. And then I lift it up. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have done it this way. Why I did it in the backwards. There we go, right here. And I kind of eyed that up and tried to mark it about where that clock is at. I took my ruler to make sure that I am in the middle of that, of the card I wanted to make, or the pocket I wanted to be in the middle, and that looks right about so. Pretty good. All right, let me make a better mark there. And now I'm going to take my hole punch. Now you can use a die cut. I have a 1 1/4 hole punch, and by folding down this flap, because you won't be cutting into it, I was able to reach that pretty easily and line it up in the middle the best I can. In the middle of that dot anyways. But I put that dot in the middle of the hole, and that should do it. And you should be able to reach it. Now, I know all hole punches are different. That was a Stampin' Up! Hole punch, but, and like I say, if you can't, you can always cut a square in here. You can take your craft knife and cut a square, something like that if you would like. And let's just test this out. And if you're off a little bit or you don't like it, you certainly can cut the bottom off a little bit. And I'm thinking maybe, oh, I just came up with a cute idea. Okay, I'm going to do it a little different than I did the other one. So there's your pocket, and you can get that glued in. And so always remember that the bottom goes over the two sides here so that your card doesn't get hung up as quickly. Still might, but not as much. And let's just go around here and glue in our pocket. Okay. All right, so mine's coming a little short. All right, you know what? I don't know why mine's a little short on that. It is just a hair short. Look at that. Okay. Maybe what I'm going to tell you, yeah, I'm trying to think, do I want the bottom to match or do I want the top to be covered? I'm going to match up the bottom here. Like that. So I see that I'm a little short on covering up that top part there. So maybe the measurement for this, why don't you make it 5 inches? Well, 4 7/8 would probably just about do it. So let's make this 4 7/8 instead of the 3/4. I must have not measured it correctly. But I'm okay with that. It's okay with me. And what I'm going to do with this, because I like the fact that that little balloon is sticking up. Of course, if I leave it as it is, it would cover it up, wouldn't it? I like this little balloon part. I was going to cut this off right here, just so that part sticks up, but I don't think I will now because of that. So, but it's cute. It's still okay, right? And I'm just going to go around here and do these sides. And then very quickly finish. And for this, what I've been doing for these is I've been taking a piece of cloth. There we go. And there you are. There's the little window for the little card. I love it. Now over here in the prototype, I used the Tim Holtz die cut with all for the little, because it's a perfect size for all these little tiny pieces, little tiny tags you've got in the kit. So I used that, but you don't need to do that. So here are the leftovers from that balloon page that we cut from. And there's like 2-inch strips here. And you could, instead of doing the Tim Holtz one, you can just start layering these up however you like. Maybe add your plain paper that you got, the colored paper you got to go with it, or some other paper like that. And you can easily go up as far as you would like to do that. Now, the little ones that will be fitting inside here, you really don't want these to be too much more than 2 inches wide. And then when, to keep them from, say, slipping all the way behind there, you can, by starting at the top, glue just the bottom and this, like the 3 sides, okay, like you would normally do a pocket, and glue your 3 sides. And just keep on going down like that, and that way these will fit in there without slipping all the way down. So that's an idea for you, or you might have other ephemera you want to place in there. So that can be done instead of the Tim Holtz die cut. Of course, in the back here, well, we'll do that in a minute. Now you have these left over. You have at least 4-inch wide pieces of paper left over that you can now start using for your cards that go inside all the pockets. And I'm not sure that I went over this before, but you will need, for the side pockets, you're going to need 3, or how many ever side pockets you ended up making. You're going to need 4x7 pieces of cardstock. Okay, and you're going to be covering that with this leftover paper. And then for the ones that fit going down inside, or going in from the top, about 3 1/4 by 7 is roughly the place that I started with. Those measurements are something to start with. You want to make sure that your ephemera is fitting down pretty, will fit into that pocket. Right, some of them will be a little on the tight side, and if they are, you can either make them more narrow, or you can cut them off. You can kind of like size them up to what is appropriate for your pockets. Okay. Now for the decoration, the last thing I want to leave you with, or before we start putting on the front and back, you have left over quite a few things that you can be using for decoration. And you have the cover, you have this half of the cover, and you can make this here, you can cut it out, all these different places. You can make a big square here, you can cut this one out here, and you can use that. And so this is the engine that was left over from the engine pocket we made. There's this part of that one page left, and you can punch with a hole punch, take out some clocks. Yeah, this one came from here, right? So I made a little journaling card with that. This clock face came from one of the tags that we made, not the tags, but the picture frames. This came out. So I think on one card here, I put in the engine, and I put this in for a journaling spot on top of the tag. That's how I decorated it. But you'll come up with your own kind of ideas or whatever you would like to do there. Now we come to the end of this little journey, which I had such a good time. I'm so happy to hear that many of you have enjoyed this series. I'm glad, and I hope that you are going to be making one of these. It's quite easy. I thought it was definitely almost a beginner. I think a beginner could do this. There's no sewing involved, so that's kind of like fun. So we will start getting on our cover that we made. Now, to put on the ties, I would wait until I got all the tabs set in the way I wanted in my slide ends, and that way I can find out where I can put this without going over the tab. And it's not a deal breaker, but it just might be easier to tie it between the tabs. I could have, of course, now that I'm looking at it, put the one tab down here, but I don't know, I kind of like the even spaced one, so that's what I did. So we'll just go ahead and we'll put the place where we want to put our tab or our tie in. Can't talk today. I don't know why I'm calling everything a tag. And we'll just put that in there with a little bit of Fabri-Tac. Of course, I'm using this curly seam binding, and if you want to know how to make the seam binding, I will put down below the tutorial for that, just in case you haven't seen it and you're interested. And we're just going to go ahead and get this glued in nicely, and our front will be finished. Okay, and I think I'll put it in right about like so. Pull that tight there. Okay. And of course, it's always nice to put something with a little bit of weight over it and to let it dry thoroughly. But I am going to go on just because now you know where to place the tie here on the back to match up with it. So yeah, that's pretty easy. I will share with you in a moment what my next project is going to be on. And then this is the page that we had set aside to put on the bag. And let me match the direction. There is a direction to this print, a very subtle direction, but there is one, so you might want to make sure you've got the correct one. Although I don't think it's that obvious that if you made the mistake of putting it on, I think it would still be okay. Okay. And so, yay. Now I have to say, I'm really liking this look of the fabric being underneath and the paper being over the fabric. I like that. It's just, I think I like it because it's different than what I usually have done. Usually I put the fabric over the paper, but you know, sometimes we like to change it up, and it just looks new to us when we do that. Alrighty, so there is our little journal all finished. That looks like a file folder, but isn't. And we got the tabs up here. All right, so the next project I'm going to be working on is going to be from Ephemera's Garden. I know I do quite a bit for her. Really enjoy her the variety of different visuals that she has. And this one is called Miss Lady Faye, and it is fairy. It's kind of a fairy theme, kind of a little vintage fairy steampunkish kind of theme. And these are just a couple of the papers, just to give you an idea, some of the cards that go with it, just to give you the idea of the colors and the subject and that type of stuff. So I'm going to be working on something with this. I'm not sure. I am considering doing a hanging file folder type of journal, because that green, I just think that green makes the digitals just pop. So I'm thinking about doing that. I don't know. I have a little while, a few days here to make my decision. So hopefully you'll subscribe and join me again. And again, I will list down part 1 of this cardstock folio down below, and how I made the crinkle seam binding. So you have a great and crafty day. Bye.